The 890 Holdings Inc. Annual Shareholders Meeting is now about to start. At this time, may we please remind everybody to keep their audio on mute. Comments and questions may be made through the chat box function of Zoom on your screens. Ladies and gentlemen, the Philippine National Anthem.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang mag-ibig, kaya sa silanganan, alam ng puso, sa likid mo'y buhay. Upang hinirang, tuyagan ang mag-ibig, sa manlulupin, di ka pasisingil, sa nagatang tulog sa simoy at sa langit mo pagkaw, ay ginagang tulang, isang pagkayang minamahal, ang isang ang matawad muling tagumpay na nagtinig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may di magtitigil. Luman ang araw ng walhagin magsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Aming ligaya ng pagkay ng amin, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our Chairman, Mr. Mariano D. Martinez Jr., and our Chairman Emeritus, Mr. Luis N. Yu Jr.
Good afternoon, everyone. As the chairman of the Board of Directors of 8990 Holdings, Inc., I would like to welcome each one of you to the first virtual annual stockholders meeting of the company. While strict lockdown restrictions have been recently eased, we are holding this virtual meeting to ensure everyone's safety amidst the continuing COVID pandemic. Notwithstanding the virtual format, we will strive to conduct this meeting through this online platform consistent with best practices. To make this meeting as inclusive as possible, our shareholders have been given and will continue to have the opportunity to ask questions and cast their votes. As our shareholders have been informed prior to the start of this meeting, questions may be submitted by email to corpcommunication@8990holdings.com. I repeat, corpcommunication@8990holdings.com. For our shareholders who are registered in our system and are currently online, you can also type in your questions in the chat box of Zoom. As always, we will endeavor to answer all questions received, but in case we cannot, due to time constraints, we will directly reach out to you to address your concerns. At this time, please let me take the opportunity to introduce to you the members of the Board of Directors of the company, in addition to myself. The following members of the company's board are present today, here and in their own particular locations. Ms. Arlene Ke, our independent director. Mr. Manny Crisostomo, our independent director. Mr. Dominic J. Picone, director. Mr. Han Ju Shu, director. Attorney Ian Norman E. Dato, director. Mr. Richard L. Hausen, director, treasurer and head of treasury. Mr. Raul Fortunato Rocha, director. Attorney Lowell Yu, director. Dr. Manuel S. Delfin, director. Mr. Alexander A. Soto, our acting president, COO and director. Mr. Luis N. Yu Jr., our chairman emeritus and director. Also present for this meeting is our company's corporate secretary, Attorney Cristina S. Palmahil Fernandez. So I now call to order the annual meeting of the shareholders of 8990 Holdings, Inc. for the year 2020. We will now proceed with the certification of notice and existence of quorum for today's meeting. May I ask our Corporate Secretary, Attorney Palma Hill Fernandez, to please inform the body if notices were sent to the shareholders of the company and if there is a quorum in this meeting.
Mr. Chairman, notices of this meeting of the shareholders were published in print format of the Business Mirror and Philippine Daily Inquirer, and through a digital print copy also of the Business Mirror and the Philippine Daily Inquirer on August 23 and August 24, 2020. Based on the company's online registration system for this meeting, as of September 13, 2020, they are represented in this meeting in person, through remote communication or in absentia, or by proxy, shareholders owning 5,094,870,595 shares, representing 93.63% of the total issued and outstanding capital stock of the company. This number has been separately reviewed and confirmed by our team of tabulators. There is therefore, Mr. Chairman, a quorum at this meeting. The number of shares represented by the shareholders attending this meeting as of today will be updated and reflected in the minutes of this meeting.
Thank you very much. May I also request our Corporate Secretary to confirm that the shareholders have been informed on the voting procedures for this meeting.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I confirm that the shareholders have been informed on the manner of voting for this meeting, details of which were provided on pages 26 and 27 of the definitive information statement. In particular, I would like to highlight that a stockholder may vote by either one, submitting a proxy in writing in the form provided in the information statement, signed and filed by the stockholder on or before September 7, 2020. Or two, voting electronically through House's electronic registration and online voting system at https://registration.8919holdings.com. In both cases, subject to validation procedures.
Again, thank you very much, Attorney Palma Hill. To our registered shareholders, please remember that you may vote your shares online at any time during this meeting prior to the closing of the polls. As communicated in the definitive information statement that was made available through the company's website and the PSE Edge portal, there will be 6 matters to be acted upon by the shareholders. Please note that as of this afternoon, more than a majority of the total outstanding voting stocks have cast their votes in favor of the specified agenda items, which includes the election of the 13 nominees to the board of directors. Nevertheless, the final tabulation of the actual votes cast in favor of each of the agenda items shall also be reflected in the minutes of the stockholders meeting and in relevant disclosures to be filed by the company with the SEC and the Philippine Stock Exchange after the same shall have been reviewed and verified by our tabulators. Now we come to another part, the approval of the minutes. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the annual meeting of the shareholders held on July 29, 2019. A copy of the minutes was made available to all stockholders of record together with the definitive information statement. Considering that the chair, representing more than a majority of the entire outstanding voting stocks of the corporation, voted in favor of this matter, the minutes of the annual meeting of the shareholders held last year is hereby approved. We come now to the next item in the agenda, which is the President's report. So may I now request our acting President and COO, Engineer Alexander A. Soto, to report on the financial condition and results of operations of our company for the year 2019.
Members of the board, fellow shareholders, Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. These are our numbers for 2019. Looking at the slide, 2019 was a great year for 8990. We grew revenues 30% year-on-year to 15.3 billion, our highest revenue ever, and doubled our top-line numbers in 2014 since we did our re-IPO. This reflects almost 10,000 homes delivered to Filipinos across the country. Strong sales and efficient cost management helped fuel our net income growth of 19% year-on-year, hitting 5.6 billion. Our gross margins remained at 54%, while our net income is at 37%. In 2019, we delivered a total of 9,997 homes nationwide. The strong sales and market demand of Urban Deca Homes Manila project accounts to the majority of our takeouts, with NCR having the strongest housing demand in the country. As we continue to offer homes to our country, we remain the most affordable housing option of home buyers in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, offering horizontal developments, medium-rise buildings, and high-rise developments. We sustained future growth supported by our existing land bank of 657 hectares, with a breakdown of 147 hectares in Luzon, 367 hectares in the Visayas, and 142 hectares in Mindanao. In the next 7 to 10 years, we expect to unlock an estimated 205 billion in potential sales, once all these properties will become active, sold, and taken out. Mr. Chairman, allow me to proceed with our project update slides. We have a total of 20 projects as of the second quarter of 2020, spread across our 10 branches nationwide, which will contribute to the revenue targets of 2020 and beyond. We are set on maximizing capital that includes carefully scheduling our construction activities and its respective budgets and expenditures. We have also adjusted our timetables with respect to the delays brought by the pandemic. I will now proceed with the first project in Northern Luzon, Deca Homes Clark Resort and Residences Phase 1 to 12. The project is located in Barangay Margot, Angeles City. It has a wakeboard park as an amenity, which hosted the 2019 SEA Games, wherein our Deca wakeboarders garnered 2 gold, 2 silver, and 2 bronze medals. It is composed of 5,317 single-attached townhouses units and socialized row houses units. We are now at 96% in terms of building completion and land development completion. The target date to finish is 2021. Our next project, and still in North Luzon, is Deca Homes Marilao Extension and Urban Deca Homes Marilao. It's a mixed MRB and townhouse project located in Barangay Abangan Sur along MacArthur Highway in the municipality of Marilao. The project is composed of 3,780 MRB condominium units and 184 townhouses. We are now at 29% in terms of building completion for the MRB and 100% for the townhouse. We are at 79% in land development completion for the MRB and 100% for the townhouse. The target date to finish for the MRB is 2023, and for the townhouse, it's this year, 2020. Our next project is still in North Luzon, Deca Homes Mekawayan. The project is located in Barangay Saloysoy, and it is approximately a kilometer away from MacArthur Highway. The project is composed of 5,169 townhouse units, and we are now at 0.3% in terms of building completion and 43% in terms of land development. The target date to finish is 2025. We now proceed to the projects in NCR. Urban Deca Homes Manila is located in Barangay 96 and 106 along Vitas Street in the city of Manila. The project is composed of 13 buildings, and we have a mall as an amenity. We are now at 80% in terms of building completion and 93% in terms of land development. The target date to finish is 2021. Our next project in NCR is Urban Deca Homes Ortigas. It is located in Barangay Rosario along Ortigas Extension, Pasig City. It is composed of 22 buildings with 19,046 units. We are 0% in terms of building completion, but we have topped off 2 buildings in the first quarter of 2020 and another 4 buildings in various stages in structural assembly. We are now at 65% in terms of land development, and the project date to finish is 2024. We now go to the projects in Southern Luzon. Urban Deca Homes Hampton is located in Barangay Buhay na Tubig, Imus City. We have a church, a clubhouse, and a swimming pool as an amenity. It is composed of 1,998 MRB condominium units, and we are now at 83% in terms of building construction and 86% in terms of land development. The target date to finish is next year, 2021. Still in Southern Luzon, we have Urban Deca Homes Mahogany, located in Barangay Magdalo, Imus City. This project is actually approximately 3 kilometers away from Urban Deca Homes Hampton. It is composed of 448 MRB condominium units, and we are now at 79% in terms of unit completion and 62% in terms of land development. Target date to finish is also next year, 2021. We now proceed to the projects in the Visayas. We have Urban Deca Homes Tisa 2. It is located in Barangay Tisa, Cebu City. It is composed of 1,392 MRB condominium units, and we are now at 42% in terms of building completion and 79% in terms of land development. Target date to finish is 2021. Our next project, still in the Visayas, is Urban Deca Homes Hernan Cortes. It is located in Barangay Kasambagan, Cebu City. This is actually 2 kilometers away from Cebu Business Park and is one of the most saleable projects due to its location. We are now at 100% in terms of building completion and 98% in terms of land development. We will finish the project this year, 2020. Next project is Urban Deca Homes Banilad. It's located in Barangay Banilad, Mandaue City. It is actually near Hernan Cortes project. The project is composed of 3 buildings with 3,264 MRB units. And up to date, we are now on the 3rd floor in structural construction. Land development is at 2%, and the target date to finish is 2022. Our next project in the Visayas is Monte Rasas de Cebu. It is located in Barangay Guadalupe, Cebu City. It is a high-end lots-only subdivision with a panoramic view of Cebu City. We have 551 saleable lots available, and we are now at 100% in Northridge Residences, and Peaks 1. We are at 93% in Expansion 1, and we are 65% in Expansion 2. We're also at 98% in Peaks 2 and 12% in Peaks 3. The target date to finish is 2021. Still in the Visayas, we have Deca Homes Pavia Resort and Residences 1. It is located in Barangay Pandak, in the municipality of Pavia. The project also has a church and a wakeboard park as an amenity. It is composed of 2,118 single attached model units, and we are now at 99% in terms of building completion and 98% in terms of land development. We will finish the project this year, 2020. Our next project is Deca Homes Pavia Resort and Residences Phase 2. It is actually located at the rear portion of Phase 1, under the same barangay and still in the municipality of Pavia. It is composed of 2,977 single attached model units, and we are now at 87% in terms of building completion and 92% in terms of land development. Target date to finish is 2020. Okay, moving on to our next project in the Visayas, we have Deca Homes Santa Barbara. It is located in Barangay Balabag in the municipality of Santa Barbara. It is composed of 10,087 units, a mix of single attached model and socialized row houses. We are now at 18% in terms of building completion, and we are at 55% in land development. Target date to finish is 2026. Next project is Deca Homes Leganes, located in Barangay Ginubatan in the municipality of Leganes. The project is composed of 3,054 townhouse type units, and we have not finished a building yet, but we are now at 115 units under structural assembly and construction. Land development is at 35%, and the target date to finish is 2024. Still in the Visayas, we have Deca Homes south of Bacolod. This is actually a 60-hectare subdivision located in Barangays Cabug and Handumanan, Bacolod City. It is composed of 7,067 units, a mix of duplex type and socialized row houses units. We are now at 28% in terms of building completion and 64% in land development. Target date to finish is 2024. Our next project, still in the Visayas, is Deca Homes Gregoria Residences or MOC, located in Barangay Concepcion or MOC City. We have 524 units, and that is a mix of single attached and socialized row houses. We are at 7% in terms of building completion and 76% in terms of land development. Target date to finish is 2021. We now proceed with the projects in Mindanao. Deca Homes Mulig 1 is located in Barangay Mulig, Davao City. It is composed of 1,893 units, single attached model. We are now at 100% in both house construction and land development. We finished the project during the first quarter of 2020. Our next project in Mindanao is Deca Homes Talomo, located in Barangay Talomo, Davao City. This is actually a 101-hectare property which has 25 hectares zoned as mixed commercial, recreational, and institutional. The project is composed of 5,948, a mix of single attached and socialized housing model units, and we are now at 3% in terms of building completion and 23% in terms of land development. Target date to finish is 2025. And lastly, we have Deca Homes Jensen 1 in Barangay Kalumpang, General Santos City. The project is composed of 2,778 socialized row houses, and we are now at 87% in terms of building completion and 94% in terms of land development. The target date to finish is this year, 2020. My dear shareholders, ladies and gentlemen, we saw tremendous growth in 2019, but in 2020, the world was introduced to a pandemic, the likes of which has never been seen before. For months, we, our families, our fellow countrymen, and even the entire world were forced to stay indoors to keep us safe and limit the spread of COVID. Operations came to a sudden stop. We have been presented with a new reality that doesn't come with an instruction manual. Yet, despite the lockdown, we're able to immediately institute our online selling platform and communicate with our buyers to assist them in payments and possible restructuring of loans. As the country is now in less stricter level of quarantine, we are now faced with the challenge of doing things in new and innovative ways. And despite the current challenges we face, we believe we have a very strong foundation to continue to build on. We've made significant progress in expanding our market nationwide and drive momentum, especially in Metro Manila, through our flagship project, Urban Deca Homes Manila. And as mentioned earlier, Our online selling platform has helped us adapt to the new normal brought about by the pandemic. We are making progress in construction activities despite strict government regulations to ensure the safety of our workers. This year, we are focused on 5 areas that is building 8990's resilience and strengthening the company's liquidity position to overcome the challenges that would present to us. First of all, we are focused on rolling our Balik Pag-ibig program, which can translate to loan takeouts of 7 billion for the year, including the migration of existing CTS accounts. This allows our buyers to take advantage of Pag-ibig's promotional interest rate of 5.375%. To support this, we will increase our documentation team to handle the extra load. Number 2, after the lifting of the moratorium on collections under the Bayanihan Act, we are set on intensifying collections through continued communication with our existing buyers, allowing restructuring of loans whenever necessary, provide personalized financial advisory services to our buyers, and increasing house-to-house collection to provide convenience to our buyers. Number 3, we are negotiating loan and interest payments and in the process of getting new loans for maturing obligations. We, in parallel, ramp up internally generated cash. Number 4, to protect capital, we will recalibrate our construction activities with government protocols in mind. This includes managing our construction for vertical developments and limit the construction of horizontal developments based on 2020 target only. And lastly, we will focus on what is needed, and this means cutting down on non-essential expenses. This includes discretionary spending cuts, inventory optimization, negotiating for better supplier payment terms, and more efficient spending. We are optimistic that this pandemic will affect us in the short term, and thus we continue to monitor operations closely, recalibrate and adjust our strategies to allow us to remain resilient and liquid, keep our employees safe so we can come out stronger. What does reassure us during these times is that we are navigating through this new landscape with a stronger balance sheet. Our net debt to equity has gone down from a high of 1.2 times in 2016 to 0.53 times in 2019. Our net debt to EBITDA is already down at 2.28 times from 6.9 times just 4 years ago. Our debt service ratio of 1.37 times is above our covenant ratio of 1.25 times. 8990 will remain a dependable partner in nation building by providing affordable homes to every Filipino. This is a commitment we made 17 years ago, and we will remain true to this commitment as we forge ahead in this new reality. As I end my presentation, I would like to thank our board of directors, our dear shareholders, whose unwavering support has helped the company thrive all these years. We thank you for your trust and confidence. I'd also like to send my heartfelt gratitude to my colleagues, my 8990 family, whose hard work and dedication has brought the company to new highs. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you again next year.
Thank you very much, Ace. We will now proceed to answer questions that you may have regarding the President's report. Please be reminded that at this time, we will only entertain matters relating to the President's report and annual report. We will give our shareholders the opportunity to raise questions on other matters later on in the meeting. Please note that if you have any questions or comments relating to personal concerns such as your shares, dividend entitlements, or other matters personal to you, you may send your query by email to corpcommunication@8990holdings.com. Now may I call our moderator, Ms. Patricia Ilagan, to facilitate this question and answer portion of our agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our first question is, what is the expected year-end 2020 results, and how do you see 2021 financial performance?
Okay. Well, we all know what happened to us, right? Since March. But by any measure, 2019, as reported to you, was very strong for 8990. However, it's a big however. Given the challenges presented by the pandemic, we do hope to stay within our 2019 revenue levels.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our second question is, given the current delays in the construction of ongoing projects, how much additional time is needed to finish the construction and proceed with the turnover of stalled projects?
Well, you've heard the report of our acting president and COO, who basically oversees the construction side of our business. And you have to remember that all our projects with managed construction, and therefore we are happy to report that we have a lot of projects with RFO units. Projects like in Manila, in Bacolod. While some of the other projects in Pampanga and Marilao, most of these units are in the finishing stages. So I don't think the delivery of these projects will be that much of a problem, which gives me hope that we will stay within our 2019 revenue levels. So at this point in time, construction is not the big issue for us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our third question, given the increase in sales during this pandemic period, are you also increasing your provision on bad debts?
Yeah, that question is an oft-repeated question in many boardrooms, I'm sure. However, in your boardroom, in your 8990 boardroom, there is minimal change on the provision in bad debts because the bad debt provisions are dependent on collateral and the capability of our buyers to pay. You have to remember that most of our buyers are actual people who live in those houses. So we've already vetted the buyer in our credit underwriting process. We've asked them to submit proof of income and other proofs. And you also have to remember that the appraisal of our housing units is usually greater than the selling price. So for me, for us in the board and for our company, we feel that if there is, it's only a minimal provision in bad debts. And you can see that reflected in our past reports, especially our 2019 report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our next question is, how does the lockdown play out in your full year outlook, given that most of the projects are in Luzon and Visayas?
Although there were lockdowns in most of Luzon, our online sales channel has helped keep sales within healthy levels. We have already addressed the construction issues as we have completed or near completed units in these areas. We are still experiencing increases in our sales reservation in these areas also. You know what the actual challenge is for, I'm sure, a lot of housing developers is the very limited opportunities for our buyers to move into their units. Because of restrictions, in many cases, restrictions in transportation, an LGU imposed restriction because there is an increase of COVID cases in their areas. So that is really the particular challenge that we face. But we try to adjust in many of the cases that we've had of buyers really trying to get into the houses. So the lockdown, in that sense, affects the transfer of buyers to their units.
Given the deferment of payments due to the Bayanihan Act, do you expect performing accounts ratio to drop, particularly because market segment looks to be the one affected by the unemployment, which has risen? And are you concerned that there might be an increase in default?
Well, there was certainly a drop in our first half of 2020. And that is not to be argued or debated. The drop is there. However, coming from that, we have been seeing improvement in collection. It's our lifeblood, so we need to be on top of this every single day. And our credit collection department, practically everybody in your company is involved. me included, in making sure that the payments come in. So we've been seeing improvement in collection since we started again July 1. And this was when we gave our buyers, the option to pay their deferred payment in 6 months installment, or even to restructure their loan in cases they have suffered a setback in their own financial conditions. Of course, our performance account ratios will drop in the first half of 2020, but being that as it may, and being it as it may, that in the fact that our buyers generally live in those houses, the worst thing that could possibly happen to them is to be removed from those houses or have to give up possession of those houses, because where will they go in this COVID environment? They have to live somewhere, and they would rather live in a house they've already improved. So our expectation is, especially now that they're saying that September 30 ends basically the restrictions that they've imposed, whether granularly or nationwide, we expect that our collection targets will be met and will go back to normal, even until the end of the third quarter, and certainly improve going towards the end of the fourth quarter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Time allotted for the Q&A session has been fully utilized. I will now turn over the floor to our chairman for the next item on the agenda.
Thank you, Tracy. Considering that the shareholders holding more than a majority of the outstanding voting stocks of the company voted in favor of adopting the President's report and the annual report for the year ended December 31, 2019, the same are hereby declared adopted. Next item, approval of the audited financial statements as of December 31, 2019. So the next item is the approval of the audited financial statements of the company as of December 31, 2019. The audited financial statements were incorporated in the annual report of the company, which was distributed to the stockholders together with the definitive information statement. Considering that the shareholders holding more than a majority of the outstanding voting stocks of the company voted in favor of the approval of the audited financial statements as of December 31, 2019. The same are hereby declared and approved. Now we come to the ratification and approval of the acts. The next item in the agenda is the ratification of the acts of the Board of Directors and management of the company for the year 2019 as set forth in the minutes of the meetings of the Board of Directors held during the same period and in the disclosures that have been duly filed with the Securities Exchange Commission and the Philippine Stock Exchange. Among the acts of the boards of the Board of Directors and management which are for ratification, in addition to those disclosed in our audited financial statements, are the following. All material resolutions adopted by the board and duly reported by the company to the SEC and PSE through the filing of SEC Form 17C. All other resolutions adopted by the board in the ordinary course of business. And finally, all other acts executed by the management in the exercise of their functions in the regular and ordinary course of business of the company. Again, considering that the chair, representing more than a majority of the entire outstanding voting stock of the corporation, voted in favor of this, all the acts of the Board of Directors and management of the company for the year 2019 are therefore ratified and confirmed. The election of directors. The next item in the agenda is the election of the Board of Directors for the year 2020. May I now request our chairman of the Nominations Committee, Mr. Manuel Crisostomo, to confirm that the nomination procedures undertaken by the committee are in accordance with applicable laws, rules, and regulations.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I hereby confirm that the members of the Nominations Committee duly and timely received the names of the nominees. For directors this year. Following such receipt, I confirm that the committee implemented procedures for their nominations, all of which are in accordance with the applicable laws, rules, and regulations of the Philippine Stock Exchange and the Securities and Exchange Commission. I confirm that the criteria used by the company in the selection process are aligned with the company's vision, mission, and strategic objectives. I likewise confirm that all the nominees possess the qualifications and none of the disqualifications for them to be nominated as directors.
Thank you very much, Manny. May I please request the Corporate Secretary, Attorney Krish, to read the names of the persons who have been duly nominated in accordance with the provision of our bylaws and who have been determined by the board to be qualified to be elected as members of the Board of Directors.
Mr. Chairman, the following individuals were confirmed by the Nominations Committee to be qualified as directors of the company. Number 1, Mr. Mariano D. Martinez Jr. Number 2, Mr. Alexander A. Soto. Number 3, Mr. Luis N. Yu Jr. Number 4, Mr. Richard L. Hausen. Number 5, Mr. Raul Fortunato R. Rocha. Number 6, Attorney Ian Norman E. Dato. Number 7, Attorney Lowell L. Yu. Number 8, Dr. Manuel S. Delfin Jr. Number 9, Mr. Dominic J. Picon. Number 10, Mr. Han Jun Hu. And number 11, Ms. Rowan Buenaventura Torregoza. In addition to said nomination, the following individuals were also nominated by a registered shareholder of the company who is not a director, officer, or substantial shareholder of the company and is not related to either of the nominated independent directors and qualified as such. These are Mr. Manuel C. Crisostomo and Ms. Arlene C. Ke. The nomination of these two individuals as independent directors complies with Article 3, Section 1A of the company's amended bylaws, which provides that the company shall conform with the requirement to have such number of independent directors as may be required by law, possessed with such qualifications as may be prescribed by law. Mr. Chairman, since there are as many nominated directors as there are board seats, all the 13 nominees are qualified to be elected as directors of the company.
Thank you, Attorney Krish. The chair, representing more than a majority of the issued and outstanding shares of the company and acting on the instructions given by the relevant shareholders of said shares, hereby casts the votes according to the same shares in favor of all the 13 nominees by the Board of Directors to the Board of Directors of the company. In accordance with the instructions given in the relevant proxy forms, the final tabulation of the actual votes cast in favor of each nominee, including votes against and abstentions, shall be reflected in the minutes of the stockholders meeting and in the relevant disclosures to be filed by the company with the SEC and the Philippine Stock Exchange. Accordingly, the chair declares all the nominees identified by the corporate secretary elected as members of the Board of Directors of 8990 Holdings for the year 2020. Congratulations, gentlemen and gentlewomen. Now the appointment of external auditors. The next item on the agenda relates to the appointment of the external auditors of the company. The approval of the stockholders is being sought for the delegation of the appointment of the external auditor to the Board of Directors. Now, considering that the chair, representing more than a majority of the entire outstanding stock of the corporation, voted in favor of this matter, the delegation of the appointment of the external auditor to the Board of Directors is hereby approved. This brings to a conclusion the matters included in the agenda of today's meeting. Madam Moderator, Tracy, are there other matters which any stockholder wishes to take up with the body?
There are none, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, okay. If there are none, therefore, considering that more than a majority of the total outstanding capital stock present or represented and have voted in this meeting, all matters so far taken up by the stockholders during this annual shareholders meeting are hereby approved and carried. The corporate secretary is hereby directed to reflect the number of shares voting in favor of the resolutions adopted in this meeting in the minutes. Thank you very much for attending our annual shareholders meeting, and we wish you well, and we wish you security and safety in all your endeavors. Thank you very much.